Alright, welcome guys back. So in the last video, I made mention of the two components of a computer, which is the hardware and the software. So yeah, I'm talking about the hardware, and like I said earlier, the hardware are those physical parts of the computer that we can actually touch. So the hardware includes those tangible items which can be physically touched or seen, and is required for the computer to function very well. So computer hardware can be classified as internal or external, which relates to the placement of the physical parts in or around the computer. So let's put it this way. So the internal hardware require the computer to run very well. Like they are the main things that makes the computer to run. While the external hardware are those hardware that increase the computer usability. They increase the functionality of the computer. So example of the internal hardware is the CPU or the RAM, the hard drive and the rest. While example of the external hardware is basically our keyboard, our screen, our mouse. These are the things that are outside that we can actually see straight ahead. These are the major things that we actually see straight ahead. But the internal hardware are those things that are inside the laptop. So if you open your laptop, for example, you can see the RAM, you can see the CPU, you can see the hard drive and everything. But those things are inside the computer because they are hidden inside. That's why we call them the internal hardware components. While the external hardware components are those things that are basically outside of the computer that we can actually see. Like I said, the keyboard, the mouse, and the monitor. So these are examples of hardware. So if we go inside, we can see that hardware are basically all the physical, tangible things that we can see and touch. So this is basically things that are physical to us and we can actually see. These are what make what the computer hardware. And the hardware is divided into two parts. It's divided into the input and output devices. So the input devices enables users to input data, commands, and instruction into the computer, while the output devices are hardware components that transform digital signals from the computer or other devices into physical form that can be sensed or interacted with by humans on that system. So let me briefly explain this. Let me explain to you what the input and output devices mean. So basically, in a layman's way, the input devices are those devices that takes information from us humans, and give it to the computer. While the output devices are those devices that take information from the computer and pass those information or give those information to us, we humans or other devices. So let's go into the input devices better. Like I said, the input devices are those devices that take information from us. They take those information from us and pass it to the what computer so that the computer can process, can store, can do whatever you want to do with those information. An example of those devices are our keyboard, for example. So when we want to type, we press our keys on the keyboard, and the keyboard takes those information and will send it to the computer, and the computer will save those information. We use our mouse to do anything we want to do on the computer. So what we want to do, if we want to open WhatsApp, for example, or want to open Microsoft Word, for example, we use the mouse to do what? Open that. So the mouse is taking information from us or instruction from us, and it's doing what? Taking it what to the computer. Same thing goes for what? Scanners. Scanners what? Take information from us because when we are scanning a document, we actually what? Taking information from us and sending it to the computer as a digital copy. So this is how input devices work. And also we still have other examples of input devices, which is what our microphones and touch screens. Yes, a touch screen is an input device for our mobile phones. So whenever you are touching your phone, whenever you want to do anything on your phone, at that moment when you are pressing one or two things on your phone, that touch screen, especially on your phone at that moment, is an input device because it's taking information from you and sending it to the computer. So this is basically what input devices are. They take information from us and they send it what to the computer. While output devices, on the other hand, are those devices that take information from the computer and send it to us. So basically, they are like our screen, our speakers, our printers, projectors, name them, because they take what information from the computer and send it to us. So let's take example of this screen version. This thing we are seeing on my screen currently is information that has already been on the computer, and it's showing me those information so I can what see, so I can read it out to you guys. So this is an example of what an output device is. So another example of an output device is our speakers. When we want to play our music, the music is already on our laptop or on our phone, but without the speaker, we can't actually listen to that music. So the speaker is an output device that will takes that music, takes that recording and play it out for us to listen. So you can see how the speaker is an output device. Also, too, the same thing too goes with our printers. We use the printer to do what? Print out those documents. So the printer takes information from the computer and but print out this information out as a what? A physical document. So basically, this is just examples of the input and output devices. So in general, like we said, the hardware is basically what? Those components of the computer that we can see and touch. Like I may mention, we have the internal and external part of the hardware. Basically, the internal part of the hardware are those parts of the computer that are inside our laptops, our mobile phones, that we just have to open to see. Like I said, the example is our RAM, our storage devices like our hard disk, and our CPU. We just have to open our laptop to see those things, but we can actually feel them, we can actually see them, we can actually touch them. Unlike our external hardware devices, where we can actually see straight ahead and touch straight ahead, like our keyboard, like our mouse, like our screen, we can actually see those things straight ahead. We don't need to open anything. So that is just what the hardware is all about. And like I may mention, the hardware is also divided into two parts, which is the input and output devices. And the input devices are those devices that takes information from us humans and send it to the computer. While the output devices are those devices that takes information from the computer and sends those information to us humans. So I'll give you an assignment at this moment, and I want you to give me 10 examples of input devices and an output devices. So 10 examples of an input device and 10 examples of an output device. And I'd like you to submit it before our next class tomorrow. So in our next class, we'll be talking about what software, what is softwares, the types of softwares, and how software relates to our computer. So see you in the next class. Thank you so much. Bye.